Thanks for joining us. MLB The Show with a good one coming at you. It's the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Angels. And we'll be back for the first pitch right after this. Digging in for Oakland,
Well, it's official. Oakland is losing its baseball team. The 2024 season will be the last one for this historic franchise after 57 years in the city of Oakland, California. This is a tragic story that thanks to the obstinance of their owner, John Fisher, and the short-sighted commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred. Team's play last year was terrible, and the attendance, too, was terrible. But not because the city or the fans don't want to see the team play. Oakland has one of the best fan bases in all of sports, and it's showing that right now. The fans hosted a fan day for themselves this year because the team wouldn't host one. Now, this story makes the plot of Major League seem nice and sensible. Fisher has been bagging the team, of course, made famous for the low payroll Moneyball success. But the team now is borderline unwatchable. But the fans want to watch. Fisher is moving forward with moving the team from a city that wants it to a city that doesn't, Las Vegas. And here's the craziest part. That city won't have a stadium ready until 2028, which means he announced the move but didn't actually have a place to go. So for the next 3 years, this major league team moving from Oakland will be playing in a minor league ballpark in Sacramento for a few years, then viva Las Vegas. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to beat them to it. We're not rebuilding the A's or moving them to Las Vegas. We're remaking them. Enter another team with weak leadership. The Angels had the generational talent and the best player in baseball at the same time for years and couldn't finish with a winning record while doubling Oakland's payroll. So what if Arnie Moreno sold the Angels to a passionate owner who hires an upstart general manager who plans to do things differently? In this franchise, we're going to see what happens between now and opening day 2028. Stick around and find out.
that one is absolutely belted. And it is gone. That should get the dugout going, and that's how they take the lead. It's 3-0.
That's a fun way to take the lead. Just hit one out of the park.
Hey everybody, we're playing MLB the Show 24 franchise mode. We're using the Angels. We're going to do Oakland. It's going to be fun. So let's think of it as a long-term alternate reality that plays almost like reality. You know, as in the real world, we have this villainous owner stealing the home team and a reclamation project with a potential to replace it, right? So we're going to try and keep this thing realistic, though. We're playing with the Angels, who are, as you can see, at the top of the bottom third, which means they aren't a very good team, but could play respectable ball, right? We could see them finish around 500 or finish last in their division. Like, both of those is on the table here. The rules are pretty predictable. I'm going to keep the trades relatively realistic and to a relative minimum, especially after year one. We'll see why in a minute when we look at our team. We're going to try to succeed through the draft and shrewd trades. I'm going to resist ridiculous free agent pickups until we need them. As for the Oakland A's, I've already put them in Las Vegas, but we're going to treat them like the Oakland A's this season and the Sacramento A's for the following 3 years before they make their debut for us in Las Vegas. So, how we're going to treat this team then? Well, for the last decade or so, the Angels have tried to field a pretty competitive team. And so, unlike Fisher's A's or the Orioles until recently, years for that matter, the Angels actually do spend money. They bring in free agents, trade prospects for the established players at the deadline, right? They've done all of that, and they still finish under 500 each year. They churn the farm system through trades and drafting high floor players who come to the show quickly. Most recently, Zach Neto, just a year ago, and then Nolan Shanwell in the same year he was drafted this past year. This isn't good for developing a strong farm system, though, right? So at present, the show doesn't list a single prospect above C potential. We could take a look at that right here. Sorry, that's the PPI list. Top prospects by team. Nolan Shanwell, he's on the major league roster. He has A potential in the game, but everybody else, C's and D's. Look at this, 9th, our 10th ranked prospect has D potential. Look at that. So this is not a deep or particularly good farm system. So we're going to run the team with a little less of a hair on fire approach. Let's say we'll put a heavy emphasis on drafting and remaking the farm system and helping build a quality ball club. We don't want to rush players and hinder their development, but we also don't want to block them and keep them from playing. We're going to do our best to cultivate a culture of winning here. So we're going to, throughout, we're going to offer some game recaps and stats, because I think that's often the most fun part of this. We're going to track the league so we get a sense of how all of us are doing together through the next couple of years. We're going to jump into play some games. We're going to sim a lot of it. We're going to player lock and follow prospects. We're going to do all of that fun stuff that we come to expect from a franchise. But there's one last rule for franchise, and that's that I reserve the right to mess with things occasionally because the CPU has some notorious bugs in it. Most famous is their aggressive regression, so that it makes it so that there is no chance that any kind of transcendent talent can reach 40. Like, it just means that they regress so fast at so early, and it's universal. And I don't know if that's always as fun to see or play. And that's going to spell some bad news for Mike Trout. And I don't know if that's how we want to play this game. So I'm reserving the right to see if I want to play with that. But the other one is that the game has not caught up to last year's stolen base totals. They have included the rules changes, and it seems like it may be enhancing some of the players. When I've played through a few times with it, but it isn't really changing the statistical models much at all. I mean, Ronald Acuna stole 70 bags last year, and he'll be lucky to get 30 in the game this year. So even when I adjust the sliders up, the overall numbers will be underwhelming. So in that same vein, I think collecting stolen bases should lead to progression in the game, but it doesn't really help. So I will be boosting ratings for any player that actually does steal bases in the game to ensure progression actually reflects their improvement. So like if a guy steals 20 bags, I feel like their numbers should go up, right? Don't you? I mean, but that often isn't the case. So anyway, that is the plan. Now let's take a look at this team before we jump into some action. As you can see, the top of the rotation is all 70 rated players. There is obviously some young talent, or relatively young talent. Reed Detmers has been in the league a couple of years. Chase Silseth converted to a starter last year. They're both young, have lots of room to grow. Patrick Sandoval is the sort of more mature veteran of the squad here, having played 6 seasons at the major league level, but he is still growing into his B potential. But and then if we include the 6th guy, Tyler Anderson, in this list, he is he's definitely the veteran in the list. But essentially, all 6 of these guys are bottom of the rotation starters at the moment, with Detmers and Sandoval being maybe number 3 or number 4 types on a strong squad. So having a collection of bottom of the rotation pitchers is not necessarily a good sign for us. And as we can see, we don't have a lot of talent coming down the pike in this part. You'll see the same in pretty much every position. Want to highlight some of the guys that we actually will be paying attention to. Davis Daniel will be getting a call really soon. He is not quite where we need him to be, but potentially next year. Michael Darrell Hicks, another C potential guy who is not close to a ceiling, but he might be soon. But he doesn't have the velocity on any of his pitches. The real ones to look at are Caden Dana and Victor Medeiros, who are high in the actual system in the real world, but they are not anywhere near where they need to be to pitch at the major league level. Looking at our relief and closer situation, we actually are strong in this area. Mid 70s is pretty much what you can expect from most of MLB the Show franchise mode. You don't really get the studs in this position, and you don't really need to waste the money here. But as you can see, there isn't a lot of depth or talent in the farm system here. Similarly, the same with closers. Carlos Estevez has had a shaky hold on the closer position in general, but we'll see how he plays out. Drew Pomerantz was a flyer they took to see if he could make the team out of spring training. He's going to regress. Estevez, he's pretty close to his upper limit here. I anticipate and if you look at his contract, 6.8, he's on the final year of his deal. You can expect we will be trying to trade him. Same with Matt Moore. His contract is he's got a big contract here, but it's only for this year. Lefty, if he has a good season, he's our best reliever. You can expect he'll be out the door. Luis Garcia, if he can hold his rating, again, last year of his contract, we'll be trying to move him by the deadline. The only one that I'm looking really at developing is Ben Joyce. He still, I think, is a couple of years off, but he is on the 40-man. We will be seeing him, but a little bit, but we'll be hoping for him to develop in the minors a little bit longer. At catcher, we've got Logan O'Hoppe, Matt Theus, and then no one to speak of. But Logan O'Hoppe is definitely a solid catcher. He's our catcher of the now, not just of the future. Good power numbers, great batting against lefties, weak against righties, but he's going to be good for us. Nolan Shanwell, he's the guy who was rushed up into the majors and held his own. The show does not like his batting against lefties. They really nerf him. But he is somebody with huge potential, and if we like and a little bit of position flexibility, I don't mind that kind of defense in left field. So he may be we might look at him at left field if we can find ourselves a bigger bat at first. Other than that, though, we've got a couple of guys to note. Evan White, who was brought in on a free agent deal over the winter, and Matt Coutney. Both are. Matt Coutney is still technically a prospect, but he's too far off to see any true progression to get him anywhere near his top potential. At second, we've got Brandon Drury, who has a lot of position flexibility. He can play third, but he doesn't have the arm for it. You'd rather see him at. He's got too much defense to play him at first, but outfield he's great in either corner. Solid player. We've got him this year. And so the question of whether to trade him or re-sign him probably depends on how we do. The only other player is Luis Rengifo. He is truly our most versatile player. He is, he's actually your ideal kind of jack of all trades, play everywhere kind of guy, because he doesn't have enough speed in the show, commensurate to how he plays in real life. So he doesn't get steals for us, like you can on your fantasy team. But he is a good, solid player. I would love to have him as the utility guy. But given who we have at third, he's probably going to play third for us. That is Anthony Rendon has a huge contract. He has been a huge bust. This game overvalued at 68 overall. It's not overvaluing him, but it certainly overvalues his durability. He has not played more than 80 games in a season. No, he hasn't played more than 58 games in the last 4 years. He has not been on the field, and when he does take the field, he has no interest in playing the game. So he will get replaced. We may eat that contract. I'd rather have him nowhere near the team, honestly. Michael Stefanik, he is too old to be a prospect. There may be some development, but not a lot from him. He is mostly there to sit on the bench. Again, none of our third basemen have arms, so he's not a good fit for that position. At short, we've got Zach Neto and a collection of decent prospects. Zach Neto still an low A potential player for us. He's versatile in terms of his defensive profile. He has second base as his secondary position, but he is our starting shortstop, is clearly going to play that position for a while. After that, we've got a few prospects of note: Kieran Paris, Adrian Placencia, and Levon Soto. Soto here is on the 40-man. So we will probably be seeing him if there's an injury to come. But all of these guys are not quite major league ready. They're still a little ways off. The rest of the guys are filler. Left field, we've got 3 guys on the major league roster right now. Taylor Ward, who can play everywhere. He is suited to left field. He is actually potentially our best third base option, actually. And but he's got enough speed to play the outfield and not be terrible in center, actually. Aaron Hicks can crush lefties and is terrible against righties. As a switch hitter, he's 34 and regressing. We'll see what he has to offer this team at all. And then Joe Adell, the most frustrating former prospect, one of the most frustrating former prospects in all of baseball. Elite speed, no stealing. Great arm, solid fielding. Look at that reaction. It is ridiculous. He has some pop, not much contact, and vision and discipline is disappointing. But he still has his B potential in the game. 65 overall, 25. He still has room to grow. I would love to see us build him up. I would love the feel-good story that comes with Joe Adell breaking out. I'd like to see it happen. he of course is the reason I want to boost some stealing rating. If I can get him to steal 20 or 30 bases this year, the show may give him a +1, and I think that is disappointing. And the computer also doesn't like to make him steal, which is frustrating too when we sim. All right, center field. We've got a. This is the other position that this team has some prospects at short and at center, and those are our best spots. Mike Trout, of course, all-world player, best player of his generation. He's 32. He's got a few more good seasons before regression kicks in. He also has a massive contract, so we'll see how our lives intertwine with his. I am tempted. I will say I am tempted to get him on a team and get him a World Series ring. Jake Marisnick, veteran, approaching regression time himself. He is not long for the team. He is backup. Jordan Adams is one of our prospects. He's a little older for a prospect. He's got great speed and some base running skills. He's versatile and has some defensive talent and some offensive potential. He's not anywhere near it yet, but he's a great, well-rounded base for a player right there. And Deshaun Knowles is another one of our top prospects. He doesn't have elite speed at all, but he's got slightly better defensive and contact metrics. Love to see this guy develop because I think he could play on a roster. He is a little old for that overall rating. So I would like to see that rating from a 19-year-old and see what comes out of it. But he could develop into a potential starting center fielder in the majors. And then lastly, we've got right field, where there are two players of note. One is our major league starting right fielder, Mickey Moniak, who crushes righties and is useless against lefties. It is hard not to platoon him, and even in real life, that drives me bonkers how much they are platooning lefties in baseball at the moment. But that's another story. He is outstanding against right-handed hitting, so he plays most days for us. He's got speed. He's not going to steal, but he could, and he's got solid defense out in right, though he doesn't have accuracy on his arm. Last one, and this is another one of those disappointments in the game. Nelson Rada is one of the top prospects in the system, and yet he still only has C potential. In real life, he probably ought to have B, given how highly regarded he is. He can start right now in the majors with all of those defensive metrics and speed. He could play in the majors right now. He's not far off with his contact rating. His vision discipline is not quite where we want it to be, and he has no power to speak of, and he's 18. But he is not really that far in terms of, again, contact and defensive skill. He should be playing in the majors in a couple of years. That overall does not reflect, obviously, how he actually would be performing for us. I would love to see him come up when he gets to 60 contact and over 30 in his power numbers. I think that would play for us. So that's our team. There isn't a lot to go on, right? Honestly, it's going to be interesting. Let's take a look at our PPI list, and this is new in the game this year, which is exciting. The prospect promotion incentive. So essentially, if Logan O'Hoppe or Nolan Shanwell, they are our two players that are potentially in the running against a lot of really good, high quality guys, who like Jackson Holliday, Heston Kjerstad, Tristan Casas, right? But if we can get one of our two guys to make it to Rookie of the Year or show up in the rankings,
in stuff in the next couple of years. I don't remember exactly how it all goes, but it's something like in the top 5 or something in All-Star balloting in 3 years from now or something, whatever it is, in the next 3 years or something. We can get ourselves an extra draft pick. So they have incentivized having rookies on the major league roster, or essentially what counts as a rookie on the major league roster. Give them a chance to play, let them play the whole season, and if they do, in the next couple of years, if they get accolades, then we get another draft pick, which would be awesome. Let's take a look at our top 100 prospects, and these match pretty close to what they are in real life at the start of the season. Jackson Holliday's top, Ethan Salas. Number 2, Paul Skeens, Evan Carter, Jackson Churio, Junior Caminero, Colt Keith of the Tigers, Colson Montgomery, Walter Jenkins, Jordan Lawler, Pete Crow Armstrong, Dylan Cruz, Jackson Merrill, Drew Jones. So these are all guys that if you follow baseball, these guys. Wyatt Langford at 20 is kind of funny these days. So these are all players we know. We've got Nolan Shanwell here at number 22, and I'm going to guess that's it. I'm guessing he's our only representative, which means that once he's gone from this list, he will have nobody. Right? So once he graduates from the list, I don't suspect any of our guys is going to be on this list, because these are all A's and B's. See? Yeah. So there is no chance for us with our prospects at this point. Let's take a look at our coaches. We have Ron Washington is our coach. We've got him for 2 years. Gail Rojas and Maverick Eusis both see potential. We're going to let them play. We're going to let them coach the season and then change them out. The rest of our coaches are fair. So Ron Washington at B, and Nolan Hall, Eric Young, and Steve Sosa are all B potential, signed to long deals. We'll leave them in there and then increase our capacity there later. All right, that is the team so far. Let us sim through spring training and get to opening day. That's next on Franchise.
Welcome to opening day of Franchise. We've got Los Angeles Angels taking on the Baltimore Orioles in Camden Yards. This is a big first opening day weekend for us in this franchise, and we're breaking it open with Corbin Burns on the mound, Shadwell leading off into a routine ground ball. Then Mike Trout pops up to the catcher. Ugh. Brandon Drury batting third. Drives one into left field for a fly ball, and that is it. Opening day, opening half inning is in the books, and it's a 1-2-3. There we go. Bottom of the first, Cedric Mullins leading off against Reed Detmers, the opening day starter, and he slaps one into left field for a single. So already, I'm worried about this Baltimore team, aren't you? Best team in the American League. Jordan Westberg is batting second. The pitch from Detmers, high, and it's a walk. 2 on, no outs for Adley Rutschman. We'll take that. It's a strikeout of the switch-hitting catcher. Now Anthony Santander is up, 1 out, 2 on. Drive to second to first, double play, and Detmers gets out of a jam in the first inning. At top of the second, Mickey Moniak drives one into deep center field, but he tracks it down at the warning track. Now here comes Anthony Rendon, who breaks his bat on another pop-up to Rutschman. Oh my goodness. That's 2 in 2 innings. All right, Detmers, one on here, bottom of the second against Austin Hayes, and he drills one into left field over the fence. That's a 2-0 lead for the Orioles here early on. Logan O'Hoppe is at the plate, top of the third, and oh, that's crushed. Left field, no doubt. It's a solo shot on a 3-2 count. That went almost 450 feet, almost 108 off the bat. That was a good one. Taylor Ward here at the top of the fourth, 2 outs, 1-1 count. And he drills one to left field. Bounces off the wall, brings that back in for a double. All right, this may be a contest here. I've got Mickey Moniak, and he, snag at third, Westberg to first, out, and they get out of that inning. Jackson Holliday here. In the bottom of the eighth, he grounds. Oh no! Error. All right, one on, one out. Cedric Mullins, the hero at the beginning. Oh, look at this. Dribbler off the left into left field. Runners at first and second. Here we are, eighth inning. Full count to Jordan Westberg. And to the pitcher. To the second for one. To first. Double play. They get out of it. Here we are. Top of the ninth. Brandon Drury up. And he strikes out. Yenier Cano in to get the save. One out. Dribbler to third. Can he get there? Get there. Gets him by a full step. Last chance. Mickey Moniak in this 2-1 game. Trying to get a full strike 3. Orioles win. A nail biter. They had nothing between innings 3 and 8. We didn't get a single runner past second, either team. Pitching duel between Burns and Detmers. Cano gets the save. Burns gets the win. But those 2 home runs were it. That was it. The only scoring Austin Hayes provided for the Orioles, and O'Hoppe for the Angels. Opening day is in the books. Nail biter, good game. Orioles look tough. They're going to be a tough team in the American League East. That whole division is stacked.
Opening day nail biter against the Baltimore Orioles. We have 2 more games against them, but looking ahead, we have the Marlins. We've got our home opener against the Red Sox, and then host the Tampa Bay Rays. We've got some stuff coming up. Look forward to getting in on that and getting into some of our scouting, which was going to start on the 7th, and then see where it goes from there. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. We have more in store. It is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you stick with it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.